Hi everyone, merry meet. You're propped awkwardly on the back of a windowsill around the back of my house. I'm going to talk loudly because I don't know how much of the background noise is bothering you. I know, two uploads in 1 week. Jesus Christ, what happened to me? This one's kind of impromptu. I just felt moved to do it. I'm out here. It's beautiful for a mid-October day. The weeds in my backyard are horribly overgrown, and I do not apologize for that. I've had shit to do. Yeah. I want to talk about medicine, entheogens, very briefly. I'm just going to talk medicine, entheogens, herbs, and negative effects and perceptions. And I'm going to touch on all of those and not really explain any of them. You probably can't see me and I don't care. It's fine. I'm probably just a black smudge. So, I am out here. Yeah. I am probably one of the most, anti-smoking that you'll find. And yet, now, I could be a hypocrite. You can call me that. I don't care. This, I do once or twice a month. Often for magical purposes. Sometimes, sitting my foot. Sometimes for medicinal purposes. And when I do, I attempt to give tobacco the same respect I give most of the other herbs I work with on a regular basis. Mullein and mugwort and a lot of the other herbs I harvest naturally or locally. Some herbs I buy, and I do work with them as well. In a similar kind of form a relationship with the spirit respect fashion. But tobacco has a very specific perception around it. That of being an unhealthy carcinogen and being very stigmatized because a lot of people abuse it to severe detriment and hurt their lungs or other stuff because of it. That's a thing that happens. I acknowledge this has its risks. But when I need tobacco medicine, this is how I intake it most times. Some of the stuff I do with tobacco is derived off of Native American stuff. Most of it isn't. Because I'm not Native American, and I only derive from the pieces that I have spoken to Native American practitioners about, and that I feel I have a reasonable understanding of and grip of to try and show it respect. The practices, showing tobacco respect is its own thing. That is its own task. If you believe I'm being disrespectful to tobacco now by smoking it in this manner, good on you. You do it different. You clearly have a differently defined relationship with tobacco than I do. When I smoke any herb, and I don't just do tobacco, I do other things. I have considered cannabis. In my state, in the US, it's not commercially or recreationally legal yet, so I don't want to tangle with that legal dragon yet. When it's commercially and recreationally available, I'm very likely to add it to my stock of sacred herbs that I use. Because I think cannabis is a wonderful thing. In moderation. I think every medicinal herb is a wonderful thing in moderation, including tobacco. This is my first in weeks I smoke tobacco to gain a closer relationship with tobacco, as well as other specific magical tasks. To take tobacco medicine into myself, along with specific other magical tasks and medicinal tasks. I think I'm mostly just posting this to illustrate that there are ways to be in relation with a stigmatized, there are ways to be in relation, I know I'm talking this way and I don't think you can hear me. I think there are ways to be in relation with a stigmatized herb where you can show the herb respect without giving into stigma. And give that herb or plant spirit, really. A natural and healthy regard and respect without fearing it. It takes a little work to get past that initial fear that's been like drilled in you by anti-smoking commercials. When most of the stuff that stigmatizes it is movements against large corporations that move to make tobacco more addictive, fueled by individuals who are conscientious objectors to these large industries making this herb more addictive and more hooked, to corporations facilitating the abuse and people giving into the abuse because life is hard. And addiction is a thing. And taking a medicine from a mind-altering and physiologically altering herb abusing that is easy in a society where we kind of abuse everything. Hell, sugar is effectively an abused drug in our society. Caffeine is an abused drug in our society. And while I don't always succeed, I try to afford those two things the same kind of birth that I afford tobacco. I don't always succeed, especially with caffeine. But I kind of just wanted to say it's possible, because not everybody thinks this way. Some people are looking to look at this video and say, duh, but it's possible to work with tobacco in your own way and give it respect. I will say I think it's much harder to do so when you are utilizing it daily as a relief from stress. When you're smoking it 3 times a day, I think it's a hell of a lot harder to be in sacred relationship with an herb you are effectively abusing because life is abusing you and you don't know how else to deal. Motorcycles. Anyway. Sorry, background noise. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but oh god, it's deafening here. But especially around this time of year, near the end of the harvest, where many of us have harvested a lot of herbs to use for over the winter and into the spring and into the next growing season, I think it's really important to regard our cousins that are often regarded as hallucinogenic, carcinogenic, or poisonous, or otherwise dangerous, because these are sacred too. And when regarded as such, it's easier to live in conjunction and harmony with them and to utilize their medicine with the kind of respect you would a spirit guide or a spirit ally. And I think that's something we should all be considering, whether it's tobacco, whether it's mushrooms, whether it's cannabis, whether it's mugwort or other members of the wormwood family, whether you work with any members of the nightshade family, which is its own bundle of bundle of wax. There's a lot more to be. Specifically, the nightshade family is a lot more bundle of wax. It's a big tangle, considering how amazingly toxic the nightshade family is to take internally. That's its own thing. And when you do work with an herb that is medically poisonous and historically has had uses as an entheogen by one culture or another, and has medical risk, I think regarding the power of that plant with respect and reverence while you use it, and understanding that it's that being, that plant, that life force, that chemical is not for you to use lightly. Just like you wouldn't ask a friend to help you out with your stress every day. Think about how your relationship with your herbs is. Because when you utilize an herb, whether you like it or whether you regard it in that way or not, it is an ally or someone you're utilizing. So regard them with respect. And work with them and find your way of utilizing herbs this season. That's just some work that I think needs doing. Being in a more awake and alive relation with the earth and its children is its own long-term work for witches, for pagans, for practitioners of any magical art, for practitioners of any religion that involves herbs. If you're Catholic, be in relation with frankincense. It's a church herb. For many reasons, some of which are appropriative. That's important to incorporate. If you are in relation with tobacco and you are not specifically of Native American or sort of Pan-American indigenous origin, you are in relation with an herb that is at least partially derived from appropriation. And that you have access to because of commercialization and abuse. That's something to wrangle with as well when you enter sacred relation with an herb that carries that history. I'm going to get off my soapbox now and finish taking my medicine. And it's about 2 weeks before Samhain. I'm probably not having another one of these until Samhain. And I'm probably having it either before or after. I don't know about during ritual. I have other herbs I utilize in Samhain, specifically. I may utilize tobacco in Samhain as an offering to the spirits, as tobacco strengthens spirits, but that doesn't mean I'm smoking it. That means I'm likely burning it and stepping back to let the spirits consume it directly. Yeah, just consider your relationships with what you work with. That's all I'm saying. Merry part. Do what thou wilt. Blessed be.